Hi, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be sharing with you my end of school year review on all of our homeschool curriculum. So if you enjoy these types of videos and other homeschool content, please remember to subscribe and let's get into it. Okay, so we recently finished our normal school year for homeschool, and I believe this is our 6th year of homeschooling, which is kind of crazy to me. I can't believe that we've been homeschooling that long. And so I was just going to go through some of the curriculum we used, what we loved. Most of it was things that we loved. We didn't really change a whole lot. And then some things that were just kind of in the middle. I don't feel like there was anything that we didn't like. It was just stuff that maybe didn't work as well, or I didn't prefer it. And so we switched it around just a little bit. But other than that, it was a very, very good school year. So let's talk about some of this curriculum. Okay, this was the first whole year we did the good and the beautiful. We started some of it, like some of their math a few years ago, and then we added in their language arts, and then we've added in a little bit of science here and there and a little bit of history. But this was the first year that we had like a whole school year where we did the good and the beautiful, and I absolutely loved it. Their curriculum is great. I've really, really enjoyed it. I just grabbed one of my kids' math books. All of them are doing the Simply Good and the Beautiful math, but this is my 5th grader. He's going into 6th grade now, but he already had started Math 6, and we have really enjoyed it. It's their newest math. I think this summer they're coming out with Math 7. And it has been really good for all of my kids. And Math 6 is outlined very similarly like the rest of them. And it's great because they come with answer keys, at least like for, I think, 4th, 5th, and 6th grade. And so if you're not great with math, or you don't have time to check through it, because I could do the math, but I can't check, like that just requires too much time for me to go through it. It's really great that they just give you all the answers and it's very straightforward and clear. But Math 6 does have 2 books because it's a little bit more, it's more intensive. And I believe at the end of Math 6 is when you will encounter a little bit more calculator. You might need a scientific calculator or be introduced to a scientific calculator. I can't remember for sure. I think I did a kind of a flip through of this one when I first got it last year before we were actually using it. And now that we are using it, we are loving it. It has been just as good as all the other math curriculums from the Good and the Beautiful. So highly recommend that. And then language arts, my daughter has it open to where she is. And some of them they're kind of in the middle of some of their curriculums, which I explained more in the curriculum videos that I recently posted. And so she's doing level 4. She's going to be going into 5th grade. Sorry, I have the baby going crazy in my belly right now. It's like a boxing match. And so we have really loved language arts. Again, I hate to just always sound repetitive, especially since I just said this in my curriculum videos. But I love having language arts all in one thing instead of tons of separate curriculums. And this covers, grammar. It goes through just general language arts. It goes through writing. So here's like a separate book that has writing and spelling in it. It does geography. It does art. Like there's so much in it. And it just kind of rotates through everything and helps them remember. It does the spiral approach to learning. And I just think it's really great. It works really well for us. We've tried doing separate curriculums and I don't like it at all. I like having everything just simple right there. We can grab it, they can work on it, and it just makes my life so much easier. Okay, so I wanted to mention some of the stuff from our group work that we've been doing. So the math and language arts are their individual subjects, and they do still do some foreign language. So my oldest is Japanese, and then my next 2 do Spanish, and they do it through different avenues. I don't know if that's the right word. One of them does Japanese throughout school. We just found some classes on there. And then the other 2 do Spanish through Homeschool Spanish Academy. And that has been something that we've enjoyed, and then my husband helps them practice a little bit more. And so they still do those things as well, and it is working well. It's always hard with those kind of things to keep up on it and to help them because we don't actively speak those languages in our home. And so trying to help them remember their vocab and all that kind of stuff is a little bit harder, but they are learning and they know way more Spanish than I took Spanish when I was really little, and then when I got a little bit older, and they know a lot more than I do, and sometimes will scold me in Spanish or say that they're not my maid in Spanish. So, and my husband just dies because he understands them and I don't understand all the words. So anyways, even if they are sassy in Spanish, they're still learning it, so that's good. And then with our group stuff, our group subjects, scripture study went well, so I continue to make these booklets for my kids on what we're studying for that month, because the curriculum for our church is the same wherever you are in the world. And so I just go through that curriculum on the church website for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and make a little bit like simplified booklet for my kids. So every day of the week, of the school week, we can go through and have something to focus on. And then I also had gotten them just like little New Testaments. And this was really nice because then they could have their own scriptures to look stuff up, to mark things and things like that. And we'll still continue the New Testament study until December, because our church does it from January to December, and then we'll switch in January next year. And so they still have that. And it was really nice because we would do some scripture study in the morning, and then we would have dinner together as a family. And so we could review, and they could share with their dad what they learned. And then my husband would usually bring up some other stories or whatever that we were learning that week and share. So it was a really good, again, spiral kind of approach of learning. And then usually by Friday, we've covered a lot of the content for the week. And so then we have them tell us at dinner what they learned or what the parables were for that week. And I just feel like it worked really well, and they retained information so much better that way. Okay, then we have our journals that we've been doing, not every day, but we've been doing much better about it. You know, it's a little overwhelming for younger kids that don't know how to express themselves or can't write complete sentences yet. And so it's nice because this is just very simple, a question a day. They write in the year, and then it covers for 3 years, so you can see how it changes over the years, which I think is super fun. And journaling is important to me. And then we have our meditation that worked really well. Especially this last semester, I think in semesters because my husband's a college professor. And so this last semester, we did a really good job about doing this every time. Sometimes I'd be like, man, let's not. But we did a lot better job about doing this. And I've been doing some mindfulness stuff on an app on my phone, which I might have some of my older kids start to participate in too, because especially my son that's autistic, they need a little bit of help with that. And then for science, we started out with Sassafras Science, which we did this one for a couple years. It's made by Elemental Science, which we have used since we started homeschooling. And I do really love their curriculum. This is one of the things that I was like, we're just gonna switch to the Good and the Beautiful units for science, because I've done a few of the science units from the Good and the Beautiful, and I just like them a lot more. They're just very simple. Again, I just like having everything very concise, right where I can find it, and not having to do a lot of extra work, because like making time for that is just difficult when I already have 5 kids and I'm pregnant with a 6th one. My life is pretty busy, and so I could make time for it, but that's not how I choose to spend my time. So this is the books. We finished the zoology one, and it comes with a reader. I didn't grab the reader, which is what my kids enjoy the most about this curriculum. And if you want a very, very thorough outline, because she outlines it for 2 days, or if you want to spend 5 days, she gives you tons of activities, all the supplies you need. If you want a very intensive curriculum, it's very great. I think that you would just love it. And you don't have to do all the things. You can just pick and choose what you want to do or what would work best for your family. But it just wasn't working well for us. And I felt like I was just stuck in I'll read the reader today, and then we wouldn't really do anything extra, because she gives you a whole bunch of books you could look at or check out at the library. And I just wasn't doing that. And so I was like, okay, we need to try something different. It just wasn't working well for how I function best. And so we did finished this last quarter, we went and did the health and the physical body from the Good and the Beautiful right here, and my kids really love this. The lessons are just so good. They have great activities, and I love the addition of the student journals that they have now. These have been great. My kids went through them, so my she's gonna be in 2nd grade, but was in 1st grade this last year. These are for grades 3 through 6, and then they have the extension ones for 7th and 8th graders. And so if there was an activity that seemed that she could do it and participate, we'd just make a copy. I didn't get her own book just because I didn't know how much she'd be able to do it, but it has so many fun, you know, activities. They were able to look at the different parts of teeth. They really liked the one with genetics here at the back, and then they got to use pencils and tape and do their fingerprints. And again, that was great too, because if you don't have an ink pad, you don't have to go buy one. They show you how to do it with a pencil and some tape, and I appreciate that. You know, there's not a whole lot of extra work that goes into it. And then, since my kids love the Sassafras readers, a lot of them fit in somehow to a lot of the science units from the Good and the Beautiful. And so we were supposed to, after zoology, go on to anatomy. And so we started reading this anatomy book, and obviously it's not in the same order as all this curriculum and not discussing exactly the same things, but it's a good reminder. So it's kind of that spiral approach, right? We might talk about something in one book, then be reminded of it in this one and stuff. So the stories are just fun. It's you know, a child's far-fetched story. And it gives the information, and my kids just enjoy the storyline and how funny it is. We are not done with this reader. We did not finish it. So we might spend some more time this summer going over it. But that is something my kids really enjoy, and so we'll probably keep that. I did get some more of the Sassafras readers that can somehow tie into some of the other Good and the Beautiful units. And then I think the last thing, where's my list? I'm gonna lose my mind. Okay, I think this is the last thing that I have to mention is just the history curriculum from the Good and the Beautiful. Of all the Good and the Beautiful things we've done, the history is my least favorite, and I still liked it. We finished the book. This is the last reader. We made it, there's 4 readers for the year, and we are not quite, we're a third maybe through this one. So over the summer, we'll probably try to finish these books up. But this one is about the Berlin Wall. And I do like how they approach history. I have studied history sequentially, obviously, in school myself when I was in public school. And it's okay. My favorite part about history is learning about the people, and so much of history in public school is spent about the wars and like this happened this year, this happened this year, this happened this year. And it's just very boring, okay? It's very, very boring to learn about. So this does a better job, I feel like, at talking about some of the people. It's still not my favorite. I love historical fiction, is my favorite genre to read, and that's my favorite way to learn about history, is that way. And so this does a better job, I feel like, than some of the other history curriculums that I've seen. And again, everything is right here, because I know people have great suggestions for other history curriculums or other books. I just have a hard time picking and choosing from a whole bunch of different things. I just prefer a curriculum that is just right here, all in one book. That's all I really need, you know, and then maybe some readers to go along with it. All in all, I still think it's a really good history curriculum compared to other history options out there. But I feel like just history is hard. It's a subject I see over and over again here in the homeschool community that people really struggle with finding something they really like, you know, unless they just do kind of individual unit studies of certain people or whatever. It's just a really hard subject to find stuff that's engaging and entertaining to learn about. So anyway, I should have my husband teach them. He's an economic historian, so and he's very fun. So they would probably have a way more fun time learning about history from him than they do from me. But that is that's my take on the Good and the Beautiful history curriculum. Okay, so that's the end of school year curriculum review for our family. It was a very, very good school year. We've kind of gotten into a groove, and so I don't change a whole lot, to be honest, and I don't feel like you have to. Sometimes, you know, the next new curriculums come out and you want to try and all these different things, but sometimes it's best just to stick with what's working well. And it was the first year that I felt like so many things really worked well for us. So I was grateful for that. But please remember to give this video a thumbs up, and I will see you next time.